Good morning and welcome to the Delco Show. This is Fiore, Executive Director of Delaware County's Brandywine Conference and Visitors Bureau, and you are listening to the Delco Show, brought to you by the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce, right here on iRadio Philly. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been in our new digs for about a month now. We are at Headroom on the corner of State Street and Veterans Square in beautiful downtown Media. We've got a corner studio. We're looking out over beautiful Media with the trolley going by and everything. Headroom is a fascinating facility. It handles, I want to call it rental space, but it's office space for corporations, business people that either work out of their home and need to get out of there for some conferences or just want to get out of there, period, because the dogs bother them or the kids are running around. But they've got all these wonderful, various different spaces, different sizes and shapes and everything at very reasonable cost. Check out Headroom, give them a call, check them out on their website, Google them. I think it's headroom.com. You'll find this place it's well appointed. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. The work these guys have done, John and Dan. So check them out. We're talking about Headroom at the corner of State Street and Veterans Square in beautiful downtown Media. And we always have to thank our wonderful luncheon sponsors, Primo's Hoagies, that are located on Baltimore Pike, right across kind of from the post office. They're at Monroe and Baltimore Pike. Check out Primo's. They provide lunch every week for us, and they do a great job. We get all sorts of different sandwiches, hoagies, things of that nature from them. Check out Primo's Hoagies, who was our sponsor for lunch. Now, moving right along, we have with us today Michelle Daly, who's the Executive Director of Women's Resource Center, which is located in Wayne, PA, Delaware County, of course. Michelle, good morning and welcome to the Delco Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure, and thank you for bearing with me as I get through those sponsorships and promos and everything that we need to do to keep our folks happy. You know that, right?
Problem. I'm hungry already with those Primo's Hoagies.
You can't touch any of our sandwiches. That's for us, okay? Nothing personal. You seem like a nice person, but that's the way this works here, okay?
All right.
Nevertheless, Women's Resource Center. You look at this, and the first thing I say to myself is that why do women need a resource center when I know for a fact that women are smarter and better than men to begin with? And we better learn that and learn that quickly. I may be the exception to the rule, but I went on your website, I looked at it. Boy, you guys provide a lot of services for women. What exactly, if you had to put it in a nutshell, is the Women's Resource Center?
We help women and girls that are going through difficult life transitions. That's the bottom line. So it could be a divorce. It could be the loss of a job, maybe the loss of a loved one, a spouse, maybe some family issues with their children. Anything that a woman or a young girl has any concerns about, they can call us, they can walk in the door. And if we don't have the service, we offer them the resource, hence our name, the Women's Resource Center.
So it's not only, I'm reading it as, and now you've explained it much better than what I originally thought, because I try to learn something from every radio show we do, and I've been around the horn for a few years, and I'm smart enough to know that I don't know everything, even though I may have been there before a lot of people. It doesn't mean I'm smarter than them. I'm looking at that. It was almost like a career center, a career builder, but it's also a social network.
Absolutely. Yes.
For women.
Yeah. 40 years ago, the organization started.
You were ahead of me. I was going to, yeah.
So in 1975, a group of women from the Wayne Central Baptist Church were sitting around saying, there are a lot of people here, and just because we're along the main line doesn't mean there aren't women, girls, families that need help. But what you hear most often is, I don't know where to go. So the women said, well, let's try something. So they did. So 10 women got a little office in the mission house of the Central Baptist Church, where we are to this day. We've taken over more of the mission house. We went from serving 50 women that first year, giving them information about the services that were there, to today serving 2,500 women and girls with over 5,000 services.
And that's, is that in Delaware County and the region, the 5-county region?
It is the 5-county region.
Yeah.
These women were thinking big when they started. It was pretty amazing, and they started all volunteer. To this day, we're primarily volunteer driven. We have 200 active volunteers, attorneys, career counselors, therapists who volunteer their time. We have just 2 full-time staff and a few part-time staff providing these services, and it's women helping women.
Yeah. And now you're the executive director, but how long have you been there with the Women's Resource Center?
I've been there for 8 years. And I'll just back up a bit. I'm not sure if I answered your question. We do serve the 5-county Philadelphia area, but more than 50% of the women we see are from Delaware County, and that would be the fact that we are located in Wayne. Now, Wayne are our administrative offices. We have some services there. But our strength is that we're out in the communities, so that we partner with other nonprofits, churches, schools, banks to provide our services. So, for instance, we offer free legal consultation or low-cost legal consultation in 5 different locations in 4 of the 5 counties. Bucks County's a little bit far from us, but when women can call us from there and we can give them the information, for instance, if it's a domestic violence situation, right away we know the phone number of a center that's near where they are. So we have those resources. Primarily our services are in Montgomery, Delaware, and Chester counties. And as I said, through partnerships, so it keeps our price down, so to speak. And we're able to utilize volunteers then from that whole area and help women at either low or no cost.
All right, so you have satellite locations where people can go to work with you and to partake of the various services you provide.
We do. It's primarily, like for instance, the Domestic Violence Center of Chester County. That's in Westchester. We provide a single mom's parenting group there. Here in Media, we partner with the Center Foundation, which is a nonprofit that provides mentoring services. We use their space. Attorneys from the Delaware County area volunteer their time to come and meet with women. They have a half hour of their undivided attention, primarily around family law issues, divorce, separation, custody.
Right. Yeah.
And we're also in Darby and Chester in our services.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about Michelle Daly for a second. And ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Michelle Daly, who's the executive director of Women's Resource Center. The website is womensresourcecenter.net, and the helpline is 610-687-6391. So, Michelle, I'm going to find out a little bit about you. Now, I looked at, the little bio that they have on the website and everything. You've had a very interesting career. And the one thing that I gleaned on very quickly, that you were an essential piece to the puzzle with the grandparents' rights law.
That's true, yes.
Which, being a grandparent, I'm going, well, that's pretty neat, and we're fortunate that we're not in a situation that we're a grandparent that are, grandparents that are taking care of, our grandchildren. We steal them a lot, to have them over right now. And they're 2 boys, 13 and 12. And right now they're helping their mom mulch the gardens because they're off this week from school, so they're doing that. So now they're old enough to do that. I've got them mowing the lawn and everything. So that's a good thing. And no, we're not breaking any child labor laws. Okay, Michelle? So anyway, but I found that fascinating. I mean, you have a background in the political arena, in human affairs, human resources. You've been in Delaware County for a number of years. You were with Delaware County Community Service.
Family and Community
Service. I mean, are you originally from this area?
I'm not. I'm a Jersey girl. I was actually born and raised in Trenton.
Oh, Stephen E. Kessner II. A Jersey girl. What do we do about that? I don't know, but we'll accept it for what it is, okay? I have many different and various stories about Jersey, and none of which I will share with you, only because you seem like a very nice woman, and I don't want to get on your wrong side. I can go home and get yelled at, Michelle, okay?
Okay,
So,
well, I'm proud of Jersey, and I still go down the shore.
Jersey proud, huh?
I am, but I'm very happy now to have been a resident of media for, my goodness, 40 years or more.
Oh, you're a Delco gal.
Well, you know how people are in Delco. If you weren't born and raised here, then there's some question. But I think I've paid my dues a bit.
You've put in the necessary time. You are officially, I designate you to be off of probation and an official Delco girl.
There we go.
Okay?
Well, thank you.
You know, done. Huzzah, huzzah, clap, 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 clap.
There you
What
go.
prompted you to move to the media area?
I went to college in the area. I went to Cabrini College.
Oh, very nice school.
A wonderful school.
Yeah.
I was just visiting there yesterday. I just love it. I love the folks there. It's a great school.
Yeah.
Met my husband, who was at Villanova, and we were married very young, right out of college. We were in Harrisburg for 2 years. He went to law school out there, and then moved back to this area because he's originally from Wallingford.
Okay.
I loved media. He's an attorney, so it made sense to live in the town, and I could actually walk to my house from this office here and in the blink of an eye.
Well, and that's what's convenient about media. There's everything you need is within walking distance, and it's a very convenient location for a lot of different reasons. And that's one reason why we picked Headroom here, because it's central, it's local, and it's kind of fun and kind of nifty, and has a certain panache to it, and rather than being in a conference room at the Chamber of Commerce. Nothing wrong with the Chamber of Commerce conference room,
right?
But this is kind of fun, and Stephen E. Kessler II's having fun being our technical guy here and handling all the audio and everything and the website and whatnot, because he feels like he's in his own personal studio now.
It's lovely,
So
it's bright, and there's a great view. But media is a wonderful town, great stores, restaurants, and a number of social service agencies. So
Yes.
that brings back to, for over 20 years, I could actually walk to work. Isn't that lovely? And be able to provide services that are in my heart. Being a social worker is really where I come from.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say your degree is in.
I have a master's from Temple in social work.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What prompted you to make the move over to the Women's Resource Center?
Gee, I'm not sure. After I've done a lot, as you know. I've besides being on the line social worker, I've also taught, and I actually taught social work at Cabrini College.
Okay.
I helped start their program, and I taught at Westchester University's graduate social work program.
Okay.
While there, I served on the board with the woman who at the time was the current executive director of the Women's Resource Center. Now, I knew that organization for years because as a social worker, I referred women there. I knew they could get help. So when I heard that she was leaving and they were looking for an executive director, I thought, something I haven't done before. It would be a great way for me to try to bring together the different experiences and skills that I've learned over the years. And I was fortunate enough that they hired me. So here I am.
Yeah. I mean, because you have such a background that's very varied and eclectic that fits in, that makes a lot of different scenarios work for what you do. And it's fascinating to see that. I was looking at your board of directors, which I saw that, and we'll get into this. And again, I'm not sexist by any stretch of the imagination. You had no men on it, and then I saw your. I guess they were advisors. You have
an advisory board,
and you have 2 men on it.
We
I
have
saw,
men on our advisory
board. And I want to, when we come back from our break, because we're getting ready to go into it, I want to come back to that and talk about a wonderful gentleman that sits on your advisory board, which this gentleman is a very good addition to your board, and I'll tell you all about it when we get back. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to The Delco Show right here on iRadio Philly. We are speaking with the delightful Michelle Daly, Executive Director of the Women's Resource Center. You can give them a call on their helpline at 610-687-6391, or check them out on their website, womensresourcecenter.net. I'm Tori Fiore. You're listening to The Delco Show, brought to you by the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce, right here on iRadio Philly. Remember, folks, we are broadcasting from Headroom in downtown Media, And our lunch always is provided by those wonderful people from Primo's Hoagies. Welcome back to the Delco Show. This is Tori Fiore. The Delco Show is heard on iRadio Philly, and it's brought to you by the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce. We're having a delightful morning speaking with Michelle Daly, who's the Executive Director of the Women's Resource Center, womensresourcecenter.net, 610-687-6391. Michelle, when we came out of the first part of the program, I told you I was delightfully surprised to see a gentleman on your advisory board there, and who I have a great fondness in my heart for, Dr. Frazier.
Ah, certainly. What a fabulous gentleman. How could you not?
He's, my wife had breast cancer. And we looked at a variety of different places and hated every one of them. And then a friend of hers mentioned Dr. Frazier. And we went to see him. And Dr. Frazier's out of the network that my wife was in for, with her whatever, benefit package was. And we said, to hell with it. This is our guy. Wow.
He's a fantastic guy. You're not the first person I've heard that from.
The guy is aces in my book. And his wife's not a bad golfer. She's a very good golfer. She's won some tournaments. But Dr. Frazier is, my wife just adores him. And he did a great job. She's cancer-free, been cancer-free, and he's just fantastic.
That's wonderful.
And he said, no, we're not going to do what these other people want to do. They wanted to do double mastectomies, get it out of the way. He said, we're just going to go get the lump. Mm-hmm. And then he called, and he said, we didn't get it all. This one's on me. Come back in, and got the rest of it.
That's great. Yeah. Well, it's not a surprise that 8 years ago when I came on, I looked on the list of advisory board members, and there was, at that time, one man. And I said, who's this Dr. Frazier, and how did we get him?
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I read about him and met him and talked with people, he apparently has been involved with the Women's Resource Center almost since we started.
Yeah.
And he continues to be a great supporter, helping us out in whatever way we might need.
Yeah, and, his bedside manner, just him as a person itself, he's just an amazing man. And he was going to retire. And then he stopped. He decided not to. And this might have been, I'm guessing, 5 or so years ago maybe, or maybe a little longer than that. But believe me, the man is aces in my book. So
that's wonderful. That's a great story.
Having said that, why aren't men on your board of directors?
I'm going to throw it back to you. Why do you think they're not on?
Well, I'm going to make an educated guess, okay? Based on my experience being married 30 years, because I've learned a lot, okay? And I've basically learned to do exactly what I'm told.
Smart man.
Right? Yes, and I know, because I'm only a man, that even if I do exactly what I'm told, I'm still going to screw it up. Because I'm only a man, okay? So what I have done is I have cultivated the 5 basic phrases in any relationship with a woman, whether it's married, dating, whatever the case may be, whether you're married a year or 30 years, the 5 basic phrases that you can use in one long-running sentence or in individual pieces. And so let's set up the scenario, okay?
Okay.
You do exactly what you're told, and you still screw it up because you're only a man. And here's your response to it. Anytime you screw something up. 5 basic phrases. You're right. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'll never do it again. And what was I thinking trying to do this myself? Done.
I think I've heard a stand-up comedian or two say that.
Done.
I think you stole that.
That's mine. No, I gave it to them.
Oh, okay.
That's mine, okay?
All right.
Because they're always doing, it's yes, dear. No, it's not yes, dear. You're right. I'm sorry. I mean, if our dog makes an accident in the living room, it's my fault. I'm My fault. You know, I hear my name called, I know I'm in trouble. And I don't know why, but it's okay because I'm sure I did it. And it's fine. So I'm going to make an educated guess that I don't believe they actually think they can bring anything to the table because it's I don't know, what was it, 15, 16 women that are on that on
That's
the board
right.
of directors?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, and you've got about 25 or so advisory people, and two of them are men. But I think maybe they don't think they can bring anything to the table. They can add something. They don't think they can. And maybe it's because they think they're know-it-alls. That's the best answer I can give you. But I know, women don't intimidate me. I appreciate women. I love the fact that they can do so many other things that we can't do, and even the things we can do them a lot better.
Well, not all men think like you. So let's bring it back to the Women's Resource Center.
Yeah, you were going to yell at me, so yell away, okay?
Which is why I'm here. And if you remember, back in the beginning, I mentioned that the organization started 40 years ago with 5 or 10 women sitting around saying,
right,
we want to help women. And think about it, it was back in the 70s, and women were not as visible in the workplace, et cetera, just trying to at that time. So it is an organization started by women for women. So the tradition has been that there have been women on the board. Apparently there have been men over the years. Right now there aren't. We have right now 14 or 15 really wonderfully high-powered executive women that are busy as heck. They are running companies, whether it be their own or working for a large corporation. 9 out of 10 of them have families. They have children. They have husbands. Some of them have gone through difficulties themselves, divorces, gone through changes with jobs. They want to help other women. 50% of the people overall that volunteer, of those 200 volunteers that we have, are people who have been helped by our services. So that really tells a lot.
So giving back.
Giving back. It's interesting, your perspective as a man, that perhaps the men think there's not anything they really can bring to the table. And I guess I talked with a gentleman, an attorney, one time asking if he would join. And now that you're saying this, I believe that's where he was coming from when he backed off and said, no, I just really want to help, and I'll come every Wednesday and be available for free legal consultation, but I'm not sure about the board. So you're giving me a little bit more insight into that, because I think, I know that a man's perspective can be very helpful. And in fact, of our volunteers, many are men. We have attorneys, career counselors, therapists that are men who want to help. Interestingly enough, when I talk with them, their stories are, I was raised by a single mom. My dad died when I was young. I want to give back. I have a sister who had cancer and had some issues, and now I'm helping with her children. They are all people who have gone through issues themselves. Yeah. So, and we even help men when they call us. Although I should say there is a men's resource center based in Philadelphia.
Okay.
But we have served men, and we welcome them to come if there's a way that we can help or we can refer them.
Well, you see, sometimes I also think that men, being men, don't think they need that counseling or that service because they can do it themselves.
That's absolutely true. This is the only women's only organization that I've worked for. Prior to that, I was with Family and Community Service for 20 years. And so we served families, but it was women and it was girls, sometimes men. But you're right, it still, unfortunately, is the situation where it's hard for men to ask for help.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go back to the fact that, well, let me do the plug here first, Michelle. We're speaking with Michelle Daly, Executive Director of the Women's Resource Center. Fascinating story. I mean, it's just really great stuff they do here. It's the womensresourcecenter.net. Their helpline is 610-687-6391 in the 5-county area. Give them a holler. They're always there. Someone's always there to help in a variety of services that they provide. But now I want to get back, Michelle, to I want to get that. Okay, we're doing a little in-house stuff here, folks. But I want to get back to the girls themselves. Okay, let's talk about girls and not women. Okay?
The fabulous girls leadership program.
Well, let me ask this question first. How young will you guys go with the girls? I mean, you're not talking 5 and 6 year olds.
No, the program is it's specifically geared towards middle school girls.
Okay.
And you know
that puts them around what, 12, 13 years old?
Exactly.
Okay.
So 7th or 8th grades. We do this program right in the schools, middle schools in Delaware, Chester, and Montgomery counties. We're in 8 of them right now. It's a 12-session program offered during the day. The girls are referred by their counselors, and there are girls, not the head of the cheerleaders or the head of the student government, but not the ones maybe that have an addiction, drug or alcohol problem, but it's those ones that are kind of in the middle, might be falling through the cracks.
The tweener, yeah.
Maybe they're experiencing bullying. Maybe they are bullying, and it's only the teachers and the counselors that know that. And we found that the girls that they bring together in this type of situation just blossom. Somebody's paying attention to them, gives them a chance. They visit the business of a woman leader. They've been to the Citizens Park, where the female executives of the Phillies have vetted them. They've been to a couple television stations. They've been to QVC. They visited colleges. Yeah. They even visited a llama farm run by a woman. That's one of my favorites.
Well, Stephen E. Kessler II owns alpacas.
Oh my goodness, you'll have to get together with that woman.
That's great, the llama farm. Yeah, I mean, and that's really interesting because I know my wife taught in the Wallingford-Swarthmore School District at Strathaven High School for 34 years. She has seen the changes that have happened over that period of time, and especially with the girls. Now my son teaches there, and he is I don't want to call it special ed, but he is a specialist teacher that keeps an eye on the students that may not be getting all their work done properly or need a little bit of a push.
Right, some support services.
Yeah, support services, if you will. So and he sees it too. And again, it's a lot of young girls.
It's a tough time to be a kid, let me tell you.
I know my niece is going through this right now at one of the local high schools. She's in a middle school where, she's having some difficulty in that respect. So I think it's a wonderful thing that you guys do when you're dealing, when you're helping these girls at such a young age.
It's a fabulous program. Back in February, we had our annual Girls Leadership Conference at Radnor Elementary, where 100 girls came together and discussed community projects and community involvement. We had 15 nonprofits there talking with them about volunteer opportunities that a 13 and 14-year-old girl could do. Everywhere from girls from Kennett Square, Phoenixville, City of Chester, Radnor, Norristown. They sat together, they talked, they interacted. It was fabulous.
Yeah. We only got about a minute and a half left, Michelle. I know, you're really volunteer-based.
We are.
Your funding comes from membership fees.
It comes from individual donations. It comes from foundation grants and from fundraisers.
Any state or local funding?
We don't. No.
Okay, you're really a self-sufficient organization.
Our budget is under $400,000 a year, yet we serve 2,500 women and girls.
Wow.
And it's all those volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'll just put in a plug for our most recent program is outreach to women veterans. In Delaware County, just Delaware County, there are 1,500 women veterans, many of whom have just returned from Iraq or Afghanistan and are having a difficult time, as all veterans do, but I think particularly women. Talk about not asking for help. They're invisible.
Yeah, and when we meant to touch on that a little more, I wish we had more than just a half an hour, this is different the last handful of years with women because they're in the front lines.
Right. We're one of the few organizations that does zero in on women veterans. Please, I reach out to folks out in Radio Land. If you know anyone or you're a women veteran and you need some help, we have a woman veterans person who works for us. She'd be happy to talk with you about our services.
Yeah, and her background is fantastic. She was a judge advocate when she was in the service. Yeah. She is a veteran, so you need to check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish we had more time. Michelle, I wish we had more time. I feel bad that we didn't get more about the veterans in, but Forgive me
okay.
from that.
Not a problem.
Your story is fascinating. Michelle Daly, Executive Director, Women's Resource Center, 610-687-6391, helps the veterans. This is Tori Fiore, Executive Director of the Brandywine CVB. The Delco Show on iRadio Philly. Have a good day.